Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the
It's on
pledge of
there.
allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a dirty shirt.
I just saw the jacket.
Now, if I could get this organized to where I've got an agenda up here. There we go. Okay, first order of business is to approve the agenda. Any additions, corrections, whatever?
Tessa's was a placeholder, and she did say to cancel that.
Cancel Tess, okay.
Yes. I had an email.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And I didn't write it down. I just left it on the computer. Okay. Any other changes?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Sorry, I have to excuse myself for a minute.
Yep.
Teresa, you can second.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. And approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I was hoping it wouldn't die for lack of second. Moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Do we have an opening public comment from anyone? Okay.
If we don't have anyone, I'd like to take a moment of the public comment time.
Oh,
Sure.
oh, sure.
If I could, Mary, would you please come up forward? As the board knows, there's been a little bit of recognition of Mary's departure from the county perspective, but we're not the only ones that are going to miss her. So if I could, there's a letter here congratulating you on your retirement from the Commissioner of the Department of Health. It says, you've witnessed many changes in your years of public health practice. I have no doubt that your wisdom, experience, and leadership will be keenly missed by the Fillmore Houston County Community Health Board, because I know how much of it will be missed by your public health colleagues both in the Minnesota Department of Health and around the state. As Commissioner of Health, I've been struck by the strength, value, and collegial nature of the partnership between the local and state officials and public health staff. This type of collaboration does not simply happen. It comes from the efforts of leaders like you who are interested in planting the seeds of change, committed to the greater good and the importance of relationships, advocates in the community for the importance and value of local public health, all while showing genuine care and concern for staff and the people we serve. On behalf of the Minnesota Department of Health and your many friends here, we salute your years of service to public health. Please accept our heartfelt appreciation for your leadership in public health and for the value and perspective you've brought to the table when working with the Minnesota Department of Health. Enjoy your next phase of your journey. Sincerely, Jan K. Malkin, Commissioner.
Very nice.
Be up the line.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
That will go down historically as one of the best public comment sessions we've ever had.
It is.
Okay. Amelia?
Well, good morning. So I hope that I maybe answered some of your questions from last week, but I'll kind of just go over everything again. Quick from my memo. So just for the record, I'm here looking for approval to go for an Minnesota Department of Ag grant. We're looking at working along the Root River corridor at eradicating Japanese hops. Again, Japanese hops they can grow like 30 feet over the course of the summer, and they have a very dense cover, and so they kill all the vegetation underneath them. So what they do to treat Japanese hops is they're looking at treating from the river. So we'd be using an aquatic safe chemical formulation. I did talk to Christina Bosch, who is our Department of Ag representative from out of Rochester. And she recommended, because of the aquatic nature of these applications, they look at two different chemicals, the glyphosate or the triclopyr. And these also would be combined with a surfactant, and that just makes them adhere to the vegetation and reduces dripping. So the triclopyr would be, it is a little bit more expensive. You're looking at $1.21 a gallon, and that's mixed. Whereas the glyphosate would be about 93 cents. There's about a 30-cent difference. But the kind of the important factor is the selectivity of the two. Triclopyr is selective, so you wouldn't be, this is all spot spraying too, and so with triclopyr you'd still have some vegetation existing, possibly where you're spraying, whereas the glyphosate will knock out everything and you'd have bare ground there. And of course these would be, it's all contracted out, so everything would be applied at the recommended rate. As far as you're kind of looking at what Fillmore County did, I guess they kind of had a unique situation. The grant administration last year was quite a bit later than what they did this year, and so they ran into issues when they went out for requests for bids. A lot of the contractors already had jobs lined up, and so they didn't actually get to do kind of the full extent of what they wanted to. So I don't know that I can really provide you with an idea of what they all accomplished as far as like river miles treated and everything like that. Their infestation is a little worse than what we have, and they have about we're looking at about 33.4 miles, river miles, and they have about 37. So they have a little bit more area to treat, and they have about 460 documented sites, where we have about 160. But as far as that, I did kind of update the draft. We can, I was told that we can request that we use triclopyr if that's what you guys are looking at, and it shouldn't affect our eligibility for the grant. It's maybe more relevant when it comes, if we were to receive funding and then have to send out our request for quotes, it'd be more relevant to write it in there than the initial application, but I did change it. Sorry, I didn't send everything out until this morning, but I did put it in that draft application for you.
Right.
I guess, do you guys have any more questions?
No, but I will say, if we're going to go through with this, I would recommend that we go with the triclopyr, and the reason is, if we're going to go with glyphosate, being by the river, and it kills all the vegetation, now you're promoting erosion. So I would much rather, if we have something that'll be a little bit more selective, just leave some of the vegetation.
Well, isn't the one that would take it down to dirt the one that was somewhat questionable?
Oh, it's controversial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you said there's a price differential, which would that just mean if we go with a whatever, that we'd get less, we could buy, the grant would only cover so many gallons, fewer gallons.
Yeah, because it's a little bit more expensive, and that's, or I was going to try to compare it to what Fillmore County did, but they didn't really get to fully execute their grant, it's hard to kind of compare. So we'd hope, I mean, they figured, my MDA contacts figured that it should probably cover the whole extent of the river. We're hoping that this part would maybe be a little more navigable. Than they've had a lot of issues as far as getting watercraft and stuff up in the upper stretches of the route. And so we're hoping it'll cover it, but I guess we don't really know until we get out there.
It's 28 cents a gallon difference.
Yeah, it's.
And if you look at like what a gallon will cover, especially if you're just spot spraying, it'll go a ways.
Okay.
You know, it's not like we're, you know.
Yeah, and that, of course, that's a gallon of actual product
That's
that
right.
goes on the ground.
Which you're mixing with water and other things, so yeah, you're not even.
You're,
yeah,
you're,
it should go a long
you're
way.
including the water in that
Right.
in that figure.
Yeah.
That kind of blew me away at first. I had to do a double take on that.
Yeah.
93 cents a gallon for a glyphosate is kind of low, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, then you realize you got a lot of water in there, so then, yeah, I was thinking concentrate price.
Yeah, exactly.
My original reservation on this, when it came out first, was glyphosate, because it, as Justin said, it kills almost everything. It kills everything that isn't genetically programmed to reject glyphosate. So I was kind of nervous about that, and that was the basis of my original objection. And hey, we're using something that's more specific. I'm good. And it's also listed as being aquatically safe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, therefore, I'd make a motion to approve the grant proposal based on the changes that have been made.
In the use of triclopyr.
Like, yeah.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you,
Commissioners.
Amelia. Brian?
Ms. Chestnut,
No.
Teresa has withdrawn hers. You were gone.
Oh.
When we approved the agenda, you were gone.
Oh, okay,
And,
sorry.
yeah, she's withdrawn hers.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I have 2 items for approval today. They're both filing out maintenance projects that we did this past summer. The first project is our pavement marking project. That's for asphalt, or Farner asphalt sealers. Original contract amount $92,392.05. Work certified $92,307.15. So pretty much they stripe exactly what we anticipate them striping. So this was a joint project between the county, City of Caledonia, and City of La Crescent. So some of those costs are actually city costs.
So you need a motion to approve the farmer asphalt final payment, right?
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.
Thank you. And then the second item is filing out the crack sealing project, Project CP 2018-05. This is also with Farner Asphalt Sealers. Original contract amount $87,600. Work certified $88,481.84. So slightly over the original contract amount due to a few extra cracks, but overall try to keep them right within that budgeted amount. So they did a good job.
I had down 06. Is that correct, or is it 05? You know, it's that
05 is on my
personality
sheet.
that comes out. Okay, 06 is a different crack filling one, right? It says for cracking and filling.
Okay.
The agenda request form specified
Okay.
06, but all the attachments were 05.
05.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Like I said, I have this.
Yeah, 05 is the
Detail
correct
thing
number, I
here.
believe.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve 2018-05.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in a delayed manner. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Brian.
Brian.
Okay, approved claims, human service and license center disbursements.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carried. Consent agenda.
If I may, I'll read the text of the message that was sent to you. This is pursuant to me assuming the roles that you've tasked me with as the administrator, and one of those is in the HR position of hiring, firing, et cetera, pending board consent. And so we've made some preliminary decisions, and I present those to you for consent at this point. First one is to confirm the hire of Howard Van Missel as a 67-day employee, drop site supervisor, at the hourly rate of $12.99 for environmental services. The second is to confirm the hire of Gordon Becker as Highway Maintenance Specialist at an hourly rate of $19.35, effective 8 October, conditioned upon successful completion of his background check. And the third is to confirm the hire of Heather Myrie as the Public Health Supervisor, effective 2 October 2018, at an hourly rate of $34.96. And that's been sent in text to you as well.
Is the highway maintenance specialist, is that a replacement or?
That's a replacement, yes. We've had a gentleman that has been unable to work for some time and has elected to retire, and so we've refilling that position.
Okay.
And we were able to go back to we had a couple of very good candidates for the last position that we filled about 4 months ago, and so we were able to go back to the second candidate on that list and offer from there.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two things real quick before we bring that up. I gotta say, we got a new mic over there. That helps.
Very, very, very last minute change this morning. Hopefully this works. We'll fine tune it.
Yep. No, that's good.
We can hear you.
I will. Well, I suppose on the consent agenda, yeah, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, consent agenda is carried.
Now, with that, we had a meeting this morning with Public Health and Human Services, Jack and I, and it was brought up that we've got some issues in there. There's like 3 different banding options within that, and we need to kind of get that streamlined and a little bit better. There's some conflicts as to if an individual jumped from this job description to this one, the banding gets kind of messed up in where things go. We had kind of talked about having that is something that by the end of the year, getting that kind of cleaned up. I don't know if that's something we need to have, a motion or anything on, or if it's just kind of something just to.
No motion required at this point. I will work with TAS, the HR staff, and see what we can do on that banding. I know it's something they're aware of, and John's aware of with the integration and things, and we'll have to work that together. Of course, it's multiple sets of bands, and it's on multiple contracts
Right.
with unions that are up for negotiation as well. So it's
And I think the biggest thing
a lot
is
to work
just
out.
making sure that it gets done in a timely manner, so it's
Right.
not getting dragged out. Is I think the biggest.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see if we can do it by the end of the year. I won't commit to that quite yet, but we'll try.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner reports and comments at 9:19?
Boy, you thought last week was fast, Fred.
Question from the press.
Did we vote on
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, we got it done.
I was trying to remember if I didn't see that packet.
You didn't see
it was just sent out early this morning. So,
I can send you a copy of the details. Yep, we had the last hiring was, the interviews were yesterday, and with the timing of some retiring people, we wanted to get that into the cycle so that they can talk and do that transfer. What's that?
You already have my email.
I'll get it afterwards. I think I do.
I can get it to you, Sue.
Okay. Teresa?
The only meeting I had last week, the last of the month, of course, was the Township Association meeting. Went okay. Nothing to really report on that. It was a very well-attended, what do they say, 125 people. That was a good thing. But, okay. And October 29th, I think everybody got the email, is our district meeting in Wabasha.
Yep.
Maybe we could ride together for that.
what day of the week is that?
That's
Monday.
Monday.
Monday morning. It's at the Eagle Center.
Yeah, Monday the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me make sure you throw that in here.
And I do have a meeting next week for workforce development because we didn't have a quorum at the last meeting last week. So they rescheduled kind of an emergency meeting on the 29th, on October 11th, I should say. But otherwise, I have nothing else to report.
Where was it going to be at the Eagle Center?
Eagle Center. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be kind of nice.
My phone does not know Wabasha. Okay. Same thing with Teresa. I just had the, obviously the township meeting. The only thing I did want to bring up, I think all of you saw, we had, let me bring it up here. We had an email sent to us by a member of the public, and it's a good point. I don't know if this is something we need to look into or not.
What is that, Justin?
The, with the bringing on from the administrator, as far as does that affect the attorney's wages, since they was banded with some of those responsibilities? Does that affect that? So that's something that we probably should look at, just to
We
make sure
actually
that that's
set their wages at meeting in December.
correct. So
Right.
when going forward, obviously with budgeting, that's something
We
we
just
probably
need
should make sure that we
get some
look at to see.
information.
Yeah, just to make sure that if we're on par or not, because that is kind of a good point that now the administrator will be taking over some of the duties the attorney was doing. So will that affect his salary or not? So just making sure that everybody's aware that
Yeah.
something else to just kind of look at when going forward. So. And it may not do anything, but
Right.
other than that, nothing.
I was to have a meeting with Hiawatha Valley last night, which got canceled yesterday morning due to the illness of the administrator. I guess the only thing I would comment on that is that the new facility is almost complete or very close, and the battle is to sell the existing, and there's been some preliminary, but Winona's going to be changing its face considerably. So hopefully some of the other activity spurred by Mr. Kierland's purchases, and that will help move these other buildings. Other than that, the only other thing I had too was the township meeting, which I thought was very good. Good historical presentation, and but there was some, as we recall, I think some consternation over the elections and so forth, and so it was just good to get together with some people and have them still realize that the county values township cooperation, and we try to help when we can and where we can, and got to keep those relationships positive.
Well, and I think you hit it right on the head. When everything was going down, there was definitely those screaming Chicken Little, the sky's falling, and it didn't happen. So,
Right.
it was nice to say, here, we're working with you.
Yes, this young lady here was instrumental.
Yes,
Very
good to know.
instrumental.
So that's all, Fred.
I would just say amen to what has already been said and let it go at that. I do have one other thing, however, that I need to ask about. We have, well, it's a family situation. My kids looked at the calendar and they realized that I don't have a board meeting on the 5th Tuesday. So they scheduled a vacation for Hilton Head, South Carolina for the last week of October.
Okay.
Now, of course, you know I'm a golfer, and Hilton Head is one of the prime golf destinations in the country. But we have a board meeting scheduled then that they didn't know about. I called and said, hey, can we change that? Well, so I'm just asking, could we have that meeting instead on the second Tuesday of November, when we don't normally meet anyway?
Well,
Would
technically, we're
would
going to
that
anyway
work?
because of the elections, correct?
No, it's
Well,
the election
I
is the
think-
6th.
But that will leave us with 2 weeks without a meeting, and that
Okay.
can be problematic. And I think that's why it was scheduled that way,
I think so too.
is so that we
Just
don't have
asking.
2 weeks in a row. And if even changing it to that proposal would give us 2 weeks in a row without a meeting.
Yeah,
Well, here's the other question.
okay.
I think, Fred, you should go with your family on vacation. We can hold down the fort if need
And that's
to.
happened to Jack,
Yeah, and I
to me
think-
too, you
That's why
know.
we have a vice chair.
Yeah,
Should probably check with Hilton Head and see when they could best replace divots.
What are you saying, Jack? There'd be a lot of them after Fred's there?
Just a comment. No, I think we will.
He hasn't even played golf with me, and he knows already. I mean,
I would agree that you need to spend that time with the family, and we'll survive.
we'll see what happens, but I just wanted
No,
people to
and-
know up front, this is what's going on, and, yeah.
And that's okay.
Well,
It
it-
is.
it
I mean,
got-
And if there's
we all miss
anything-
a meeting.
The world will not
Controversial, we
end.
can wait on it.
No, but it got muddled with having to, the 5 and then the election and so forth. And,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's all I've got. Now we move on to number 2. Replacement of 2 Planning and Zoning Commission members and a single Board of Adjustment member whose terms expire at the end of the year. And 2 Crooked Creek Watershed District members whose terms expire on the 30th of November.
May I provide an update about the Crooked Creek watershed?
Yep.
I did have some correspondence with Dave Walters, and they will be holding a meeting, I believe, next week, and they will inquire whether those persons are interested in continuing that service, and then hopefully get back to the board.
Yeah.
Prior to
To
it.
alert you to that, so you can take action on that following
Okay.
Yeah.
that information.
If those 2 people are willing to serve, well, that would be probably their recommendation, and we would undoubtedly endorse that, and we're,
It's just, I knew we had some coming up before that, so I wanted to get them on your radar.
yeah.
And also on that, Planning and Zoning and Board of Adjustment, I mean, Ken Visker's on the Board of Adjustment, and he might be a commissioner. After November 6th, we'll know that. And same with Bob Burns is running for District 3. So why can we table this
But-
discussion
Well,
until
we don't need
November
to have
6th?
it.
You implement a policy where you seek application, and would that crunch your time frame up significantly?
Well, here's
to
a
follow
couple
that
of things.
procedure?
This, I believe, is just to get it on our radar that this is coming down the pike.
Yeah.
It need to be done
Yeah.
today. Now, with that being said, we have, and I don't know, it says their terms expire, but have they reached their term limits?
No, I
And
don't
that
think
would be
either
the
one
question,
did.
because obviously we would go out and just seek if there's other applicants interested,
Right.
and if none come back, then these individuals would continue to be on. If we did have another application, or an applicant, and one of those 2 individuals ended up becoming a commissioner, then we would have another applicant to take their place. So,
Well, who's the Board of Adjustment member whose term is
Ken
expired?
Visker,
Visker.
and he's running
Okay,
for
because he was
District
just,
4.
so.
And he's brand new,
His
so,
term limit isn't
in
expired.
17, so he is on his first term.
and he can go 3
And-
terms.
Yep, we limited it to three-year terms.
Yeah.
So
So-
he would be eligible for reappointment
I
if
mean,
that was your desire.
either way, these positions have to be posted for other applicants that are interested. So either way, that's gotta happen. It'll just be a matter of if we don't get any applications back
Yeah.
in those individuals.
But is there time to post them in November? 1st of November?
Yeah,
or
'cause it doesn't have to
November
be
6th?
taken until December 31st. So I mean, you
Right.
could do it the week after the election.
And that would give like Ken an opportunity to say, I want to
I
run
wanna-
again or I don't.
Right,
You know.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Or Bob too.
And
Bob too,
Burns
right.
also.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, and all we need is a month. So I mean, even if it was the 1st of
Right.
December, you really could, but I think we should do it in November. But sometime, maybe
Mm-hmm.
mid-November, we could put it out for,
Application.
correct. Yep.
Well, we don't have a meeting until the 20th of November.
No.
What?
I don't think.
Oh, you mean a planning commission meeting? I think you meant a board
Oh,
meeting. I
no.
was like, no, Fred.
A
we got-
board meeting,
County board meeting.
county board meeting, we don't have one on the 6th. of November, that's election day.
Yeah, but we're having one the week after that.
And we
There's one on
are
the
having a
13th.
meeting on the 13th.
Right.
We're meeting on the 13th.
Okay,
Yeah.
because it's not on my,
Yeah.
it's not
So
on
we
my
do it on the
calendar, I missed it.
13th.
Will you be
Okay.
back from Hilton Head?
Oh, yes. I'll be back before election day.
Yeah, we have one on the 13th I wrote down too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah,
a
then
9 o'clock.
we've got plenty of time to deal with it then. We
I
don't-
think so too. Then we'll have a little
Yep.
better handle.
And then
on it.
everybody will know what's going on.
Yep. Well, it wasn't on any, it was just on the discussion today anyway, so we
Correct.
wouldn't have done anything.
No action.
Yeah. Okay.
And I could run for Board of Adjustment, huh?
There it is.
I'm being
You-
facetious here.
You must not think negatively.
No, I know.
No, that's a no-no. Okay. Anybody for closing public comment this morning? You're the only one left.
Excuse me, good morning, Commissioners. Yvonne Krogstad, Caledonia Township. I just have a comment about that Board of Adjustment appointment. The person whose term is up is Rich Schild, and he's an alternate. With a 5-member Board of Adjustment, do you need an alternate? That was my only question. Thank you.
That's
I
a
don't
good
think
point.
so.
If you have 5 board members, would we even need an alternate? We don't have alternates for any other
Yeah.
boards over 5, where
Exactly
we don't
right.
even need to, right?
That was when we only had 3 that we had to have. the
Which you have
alternate.
to have an alternate to have a quorum.
Yeah, you had to have, and that need is gone.
That's a very good point, Yvonne.
So-
Yeah.
Well, and
I worry.
the other thing is you could just say we'll eliminate that, and then we'll know after the elections. Well, actually, we will not know after the elections. We will not know until February with Mr. Burns running. But if need be, Mr. Shield could always apply for that position or that spot.
Well, of course, Bob might get eliminated
True,
in the primary.
true. So we'll know. We'll
Who knows?
know.
Yeah.
But if Mr. Shield, if a spot is open, he can always go for the full seat. But maybe we don't need to have the alternate spot.
Yeah, what would be the proper way of dealing with that?
Board motion to eliminate the alternate spot on
Right.
the board of.
And
Yeah.
we do have a policy, so we could really just update the policy.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, Jeff.
Noted.
We're looking into that.
We're looking at you.
Yep.
You got it written down.
Yep.
Good man.
I'll look into the policy.
I do have, copies of the policies from last January.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, we can look at it next meeting,
Yeah,
probably,
but good point.
to figure out if we need to change a policy there.
I'll look at the policy and we'll look at the statutory requirements for the alternate, if it's not, and then we will lay out the timeline for
Yeah.
the next round.
Yeah,
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Yvonne. Keeping us honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner
Anything
Arnold?
else?
One more point. Sir, you mentioned on Friday that you were considering a, I was going to call it an off-site, but I don't think, planning session for next week when we don't have a board meeting. Is that still of interest? On the
Yeah,
9th
no.
of October? And is that,
Let's see, let me go back to my calendar.
What are we
Just-
gonna do?
What are we talking about, Jeff?
he had mentioned a
Oh, you mean like
planning session.
You mean a what's the name of that?
Well, we call it board retreat.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
When is that? When is
Or
it?
we could call it strategic planning session, whatever you want to call it. But we do need to get something like that in fairly soon,
Is it
I would
set
think.
up for something? Did I miss that?
No.
No, it's not set up yet.
Talking about
He
it.
just he discussed doing it on the 9th of October if that works for everybody's
So
schedule.
next Tuesday, since we don't have a meeting, you mean?
Correct.
Are you thinking of doing like we did last time and just do like just a nice little round table?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's, since we're all there, it has to be a public meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily have to have it here. We haven't been. You know, the first time we did this, well, we met at a place in the Crescent, the name of which I can't
Corky's.
remember.
Corky's.
And then the second time we met at Good Times in Caledonia.
think it'd be a good idea, get Jeff incorporated into
Yep.
this.
Yeah,
think tank.
I've got a few things I'll set up an agenda for it, and then if you have any other points you want to add to discuss, we can send
Now,
them to me and I'll put an agenda.
We have to announce this publicly
Right.
ahead of time, so that if anybody wants to come, if anybody thinks we're doing something nefarious, well, they can show up and keep us from doing it, or whatever.
We'll save
Or if
it
they
there.
simply want to be better informed, that's fine.
Right.
I do have a 7:30 eye appointment, so,
Is that in lacrosse?
yeah.
What about if we did like add Corky's again, and then if we time it where you're coming back, or will you be able to afterwards?
Yeah,
So we did like a 9 o'clock or something?
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I would think that would work.
You want me
out.
to check with Corky's for 9? That worked last time.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was nice.
Okay.
Okay, now what's the date?
The
Does
9th.
that work for you?
Okay, 7:30, we should be done. Yeah.
Okay.
Like an hour and a half, right? And if not, you're a little late then. We can
Sounds
hold the
good,
big
okay.
stuff till you get there.
Jeff, will you communicate that information with me so we can get it posted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, thank you, that's all I had.
Is there anything else? I guess a motion for adjournment is in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn at 9:37. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, I don't hear anybody. We are adjourned.